What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Her Adam His Eve, YouTube.com. Today is Father's Day. What's the date?
June 17th.
June 17th, 2012.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
This is a day that we set apart in American culture to celebrate the men who take care of their families and build them up, protect them, provide for them. And even from myself, from a father, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in the world. Yeah.
Kind of get conversation going about the topic of, fathers, the whole topic of fatherhood and what fathers are to a family, what they mean to a family, and, what it's like, having a father, not having a father, and what those things can do to a human being. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a father, regardless if they're in your life or not. And so, let's just share, about, the father situation.
For me, I grew up, first few years of my life, I was raised by my grandmother. She was married, so I had a step-grandfather when I was really young. Then I moved in with my mom. My mom had a boyfriend at the time who eventually would be her husband. That was my stepdad. I never knew my dad that well. Seen him, a few times in my life. Not a few. I'm gonna say a few. I ain't gonna play him like that. But probably no more than 20 times. I don't think in my entire life. So I didn't really have the male influence of my father in my life, and eventually I had to deal with the issues that you have when you don't have a father. The resentment, want to prove and show that you're a better man than he is by doing everything that he didn't do. But when it comes down to it, I just had to look within myself and let God deal with the issues that I had, and had to get past the fact that my father wasn't there and let God be the father that I never had.
My story is the opposite of you. I had my father in my life my entire life, and still in my life today, and was a very huge, major role in my life. Everything that a father is supposed to do, my father did for the most part. And I mean, every father has flaws. Every human has flaws. So, of course, people come up short in some areas, but I think that he did the best that he could, given the situations and circumstances that he had. And so that's my take on the father situation.
One thing that we do when we work with the youth, we try to give them a foundation that's based in what the Bible says. And when we look in the Bible, we see God in the beginning. He's creating and he's calling things out. And then once he created Adam, he gave Adam the same task to name everything that was already in creation. And that just shows the role of a father, and what the father should be. The father is the one who tells you who you are. The father is the one who gives you an assignment and sets you out on the road and lets you know how to get there and helps guide you to that place. And when the father's not there, then there's a breakdown in how the system is supposed to go and how things are supposed to pan out. And a lot of African American, not even just African American, but since we live in the African American community, I see a lot of kids who are living without their fathers. Man, it just throws the whole household into a world when you got mama trying to be daddy. And even in the situation, when you look at Adam told Eve who she was. You know what I'm saying? So now the woman doesn't have anybody to tell her who she is because the father's not there. And now the woman, she's misplaced. She's not in her rightful place. And then the kids don't know who they are. I mean, it just makes for a whole lot of drama and a difficult situation at home when you don't have the father there. And believe me, I know I had a stepdaddy who did his best. But in my heart, I always felt like, okay, where is the guy who is supposed to be taking care of business? And I think that's what a lot of young guys especially deal with. They got a dude who's there who's sacrificing to take care of them, but they mistreating them because they feel like, man, you ain't my daddy, which is true. and they don't understand. But this man has stepped into that role that they should respect him in. So just a lot of problems that we deal with.
On the other end of that, from a female's point of view, from what I see, is young women without a father figure in their life, it can go south very, very quickly. And like he was talking about labeling and telling you who you are, affirming you, telling you that you are beautiful, or telling you that I love you, stuff like that, that young women don't get from a father early on. We mentioned one of the songs earlier by Tiara Marie. It was called, I forgot what the song was called, but basically the chorus of the song went, I didn't have a father while I was growing up. That's why I was wild and don't give a. And so it just goes to show that, where a mindset of a young woman goes, and that is not an excuse, like we were saying earlier, for someone to just go out and just do whatever you want to do because your father is not. You're still going to be held accountable for your actions, and what you take, the pieces of your life and the things that you've been handed to, circumstances and situations, what you take from that and go forth with is what God is going to look at, regardless of your past or what happened or your circumstances with your father. You still have the opportunity to go forth and be who God called you to be, and allow God to step in and be that father that you did not have. How you feel about not having your father
today?
Yeah.
I feel like it was a lot of stuff he could have showed me, a lot of things that he could have taught me, being my father. Like I said, the influence you have from your father would mean more. His words would have meant more to me than anybody else. So not having my father, I went without that. I mean, I think he could have taught me things in sports. Like, he was a high school basketball star. You know what I'm saying? I grew up playing basketball. He could have taught me stuff about that discipline that comes with playing in sports. Could have taught me about girls and, what to do, what not to do. I mean, it's a lot of things that I didn't get. I was just kind of, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, lost because I didn't have, my dad there, coaching me or teaching me along the way.
One of the things you said earlier, too, is that you don't want to hold on to something like this, in hindsight going forward, that you want to release, in a sense, release your father or release those feelings that you have about, negative feelings that you have about your father.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead and
explain what I was saying earlier.
Or explain that.
Well, you don't want to go around holding somebody captive. Like, for one, my father's dead. He passed away a couple years ago. I'm too old. I got my own family, got kids, to be running around being mad and living out of that emotions of my father not being there and being mad and hateful towards him. Like, man, because of him, I got this scar and I have this pain and I never learned this and I never learned that. I was like, man, I got to a point when it was actually when I got saved and, God, blessed me and filled me with the Spirit that I let it go. I just had to let it go. I feel like that was what was best for me. And, man, I promise, man, like, everything that I am as a man, everything as I am as a husband and as a father, God, by grace, came and made up the difference for who I wasn't, man. I had to let it go. And if there's any young cats out there that's holding on to, got pain in their heart because their dad has scarred them, he wasn't there for them, I'm letting you know, man, let it go and let God come in and make up the difference. He will.
One of the things that I've heard T.D. Jakes minister or preach on as far as forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you, so that you can release that and that you can move forward, because so many times we're all angry about something and don't want to forgive somebody, but the only person who's sweating about it is us.
Yeah.
The other person has gone on with their life, doing whatever, moved on, happy, smiling, living life, and we mad over here, sweating, grunting, rolling our eyes, and they straight. So that's one of the things, is about releasing it. And you said this too earlier, you want to make sure that if you have a father in your home, regardless of, rating him on a scale from 1 to 10, wherever he may fall on that scale, it's important that that he's there in the home. You know what I'm saying? He could be somewhere else. And I know that, that can go in many different directions as far as someone not being emotionally there or not being able to give you exactly everything that you need. But it says a lot for a man to even stay, to even be there. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of men aren't emotional or don't actually, love on their kids or love on their, family the way they should. But it says a lot for a man to even be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because you don't have your father in your life does not mean that you can't be successful. Because I know some people tend to, like we were talking about earlier, holding on to those things. In hindsight, going forward, I've seen many of my friends who don't have their father directly in their home go on and be successful in their lives. And that can be you. You know what I'm saying? You can pick up the pieces and give yourself, give yourself to God and allow Him to really put you back together, and you can go forth and accomplish every goal. You can go forth and be the best mother, marry a good man, and he can be the father that your children and your family needs, husband, all of that. You can find that. Some women tend to go in the opposite direction when they don't have a father in the home, as far as looking for a husband and stability. As for family, it's almost like we look for our father, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Even some of the worst fathers out there in the world, some of the women end up with men exactly like their father was. And so that's why it's so important to really release our natural fathers and really take on our Father, Jesus Christ, God, so that we can move forward and be who He's called us to be and have a life that He's called us to have.
I agree. So what we want to do, man, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know how you feel about what's going on. Your own situation with your father and how you feel about some of the things we may have said. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. I'm signing out.
Wow. Gotta be more to run in the streets. I'm surrounded by insanity. This can't be what